I am going to take requests from the test review, so please go ahead and pull that test review out. Yes. I cannot help with that problem, I'm sorry. Get your water from your friend.
I don't know where she's either.
I can't. What problems off the test review would you like to see? Yes, Minter. Which one? Number 8? Number 9. Sorry, I could not hear. All right, let's start with number 9. All right, so we want to know whether or not there are lines of symmetry and whether or not there is rotational symmetry. There's a line of symmetry on the heart. Where would that line of symmetry be? Yep. Vertically right through the center. Is there anywhere else that I could draw a line to cut this in half where the two halves would match up exactly? No. Nope. So yes, we have line symmetry. We only have one line of symmetry. Do we have rotational symmetry at all? No. Thank you. We do not have rotational symmetry. I can check that using tracing paper. On Friday when you guys come in to take the test, I will have the tracing paper on the corner of the desk just like this. You can come and help yourself to as much of it as you would like. So if I had my tracing paper, I would go around the shape. And then to check for rotational symmetry, I would begin to rotate the shape around. And I'm looking for where it matches up perfectly with itself before I get back around to where I started. And nowhere on this shape does it match up perfectly until I get all the way back around to the beginning. All right. What about the 4-leaf clover? Are there any lines of symmetry there?
Yeah.
Yes. Which ways? Like, tell me how to draw the lines. I can draw a vertical line, cut it in half so that I have one full leaf and 2 half leaves on either side. I can go horizontally. What'd you say? What'd you say? Yep. We can go diagonally. 2 leaves and 2 leaves. So yes, we have line symmetry. How many lines of symmetry? 4 lines of symmetry. Do we have rotational symmetry? Yes.
I think maybe 4.
You think maybe order 4? Let's check it out. All right, so I'm going to trace around this on my tracing paper. And I want to make sure to mark which one is the top. So I'm going to go ahead and just like color the top of this. I know that that means this is the one that goes up at the tippy top. I could write a letter T. There's a whole bunch of things I could do. I just need to make a mark so that I know where I'm starting at. And then I rotate this around. Oh, matches up with itself here. What'd you say? Kind of looks like hearts, yeah. Keep rotating it around. There it matches up with itself again. So there's a second stop that I could make. Keep rotating. There's a third stop that it can make. And then we get all the way back to where we started. Thank you. So this has order what? Order 4. How do we find the magnitude? Yep. 360 divided by the order. So we're going to divide by 4 this time. What is 360 divided by 4? 90. All right. What other questions off the review would you guys like to see? Number 7? Absolutely. Ooh, this is a good one. I only had one other class ask about this, and my program literally died, so I didn't actually get to answer it because I couldn't write. It just sat and spun the whole time. So I'm glad you guys asked about this one. All right, so it says, consider segment AB with endpoints A, -1,8, and B, -5,6. We're going to graph segment AB first. So -1,8. There's my point A. And -5,6. There's my point B. If I want full credit for this part of the question, what do I still have to make sure to do? Yes, I need to actually have the segment drawn in. Thank you. I need to connect those 2 points. The other thing that you have to make sure to do as well is to label those points. If you don't have the labels, it is considered an incomplete response and you lose points, you lose credit. Well, we're going over the test review. I'm taking questions. All right. It says draw segment A prime, B prime after the translation along -4, 2. A translation is what? Like if a rotation is a twist, it's a shift or a slide. Which way are we shifting or sliding based on this vector? Yep, we're going to go left 4 and up 2. So I can either count on my graph, left 4 and up 2, or I could do what? If I didn't just count on the graph, I can add and subtract to my ordered pairs, my points. So I'm going to subtract 4 because we're going left 4, it's a negative. Subtract 4 from the x's. And we're going to add 2 to the y's so that my point A prime, what's -1 minus 4? -5 and 8 plus 2? 10. So A prime is at -5, 10. -5, 10 would be right here. There's A prime. And then we're going to do this for B. What is -5 minus 4? -9. And 6 plus 2? 8. So -9, 8 is B prime. 1, 2, 3, 4, and up 1, 2. Right here, -9, 8. Doesn't matter whether I count or whether I add and subtract. Please, 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 please make sure that you are labeling with the primes. If you just label these points A and B, that is not correct, and you won't get full credit for it. So please make sure that you are putting the primes on there and that you are taking the time to connect those two with a line segment. When you guys come into class on Friday, you'll need to pick up 2 things for sure. The third thing, if you want, you need to grab a calculator, you'll need to grab a straight edge, and then you'll grab tracing paper if you want. All right, it says now map A prime, B prime to draw a double prime, B double prime after a reflection across the x-axis. How do we reflect across the x-axis? What's that rule? Yep. Yes, x stays the same because we're going over the x-axis, and y changes sign. So A double prime would be -5, -10, right down here. Please make sure that you don't mark that as A prime. It is A double prime, so you need to have 2 marks on there. And then B double prime would be -9, -8. In a moment. Here's B double prime. Alyssa, you can go in just a minute. We're going to connect those two together. So again, please, please, please make sure that you are labeling with either prime or double prime, depending on what it is that you've listed. What else would you guys like to see? What other problems? What other problems off the review would you guys like to see? Yes. Number 8? Yep. Is number 8 going to finish off the page? Cool. Graph the following segment. How do you go from here to here? Yep. Right, we're going to plot G, which is 3, 2. Remember, when you're looking at an ordered pair, that first number tells you how far left or right to go from the origin. The second number tells you how far up or down. So 3, 2 would be right here. Here's my point G. And then H is at 4, -5, right here. And I need to connect those 2 points. All right, now what are we doing? What do they want me to do to GH? Rotate 180. Does anybody remember what that rule is? We just changed the signs. Do not switch the X and the Y. Yes. Do not switch, but change both signs. So that's going to make G prime what? -3, -2. And H prime? -4, +5. So -3, -2 is right here. There's G prime. And -4, 5 is right here. That's H prime. And then I'm going to connect those two. Something I want to point out that just happened that will affect when I go to write down the answers for the next piece. Which point was on top of my original line segment? G. And that made sense over here. I had G on top, G prime, G double prime. But after I did the rotation, which point is on top now? H prime is the one that's on top. I have to make sure that when I do H double prime, I put that one down here. Don't put it on top, on the top line just because it's on the top of the graph. You have to make sure that you're matching up the letters when you go to write those pieces down. What are we supposed to be doing to this? Yes, we're going to reflect over the line x equals -6. I don't have a rule for this. No, we're going to go find -6. Well, if you want to think of that like a rule, yes, but it's not like I do the same thing each time because it's always going to be a different line in a different place. So we're going to go find negative 6 on the x-axis. There it is. Yes. Now we go through the x-axis at negative 6. So I'm going to grab my straight edge. In order to go through the x-axis, which way would I go? Up and down. If I go back and forth, if I go left and right, it's not going to go through the x-axis. It would lay on top of the x-axis. And then I wouldn't be reflecting over x equals negative 6. I would just be reflecting over the x-axis. Now we need to count to see how far away our points are from that line. How far away is h prime from that dashed line? 2 units. So 2 on one side. I want the mirror image, so 2 on the other side. Right over here is h double prime. What is that ordered pair? Negative 8, 5. Is this right?
Oh, no, you put it in the wrong spot.
I put it in the wrong spot. What did we just find? We just found h double prime, but I just wrote it down in the wrong spot. Make sure, yes, I did do that on purpose. Make sure that you are paying attention to which points you have. All right, now I need to find g double prime. How far away is g prime from that dashed line? 3 units. 1, 2, 3. So I hop 3 units on the other side to get my mirror image. 1, 2, 3. Right here. Negative 9, 2. Negative 2, thank you. Negative 9, negative 2. It's okay. If I ended my problem right here, would I get full credit? Why not? Because I didn't connect my points. Please make sure that you are connecting those points. They asked us to graph a segment and to graph the image of a segment. All right, what else would you guys like to see? Touche. What else would you guys like to see? I was going to say it's losing its power now. You said 4? 3. This is a great one. I know, because this is the 4th time I've done this today. And so far, every single class has asked about this problem, and I think that's fantastic. Because this gives us a chance to review several of the rules that we have. There are 6 total rules that you need to know for the test on Friday. If you don't know them already, I would recommend writing some flashcards for those. If you need some 3x5 cards, I've got 3x5 cards, and I'm happy to give them to you so you can make some flashcards to learn your rules for reflection and rotation. We had 4 rules for reflection and 2 rules for rotation. All right. For each of these parts, A through G, we're going to be coming back to point E each time. First thing we're going to do is reflect over the line y equals x. Does anybody remember what that rule is? Yep. Yes, we're going to switch x and y. So my point E prime would be 24, negative 5. You were absolutely right in the thing that you said. If this was over the line y equals negative x, then we would switch them and change the sign. But if it's just over y equals x, all we do is flip the x and the y. For x equals y, yes, it would be the same thing. Typically, we won't see it written as x equals y, but if you ever saw it like that, x equals y would be the same as y equals x. Yes. All right, let's reflect again. Only this time, we're going to go over the x-axis. What's that rule? Yes, x stays the same, and y changes signs. Yes, Renee? When Alyssa gets back, Camille is asked, and then you may go. Same thing. All right, x stays the same, y changes signs. Remember, I'm going all the way back to my original one. So -5, -24. How would it be different if it had said to reflect over the y-axis instead of the x-axis? Yes, then we would change the x and leave the y the same. Whatever axis we go over, that stays the same. All right, let's do some rotations. Rotated clockwise, 270 degrees about the origin. To rotate either 270 or 90, we switch x and y. And then we match the signs to the quadrant. So let's figure out where point E is right now anyway. Point E has a negative x and a positive y. Quadrant 2. Because it has a negative x and a positive y. So here's where my point E is right now. We're going to go 270 degrees clockwise. That's 1, 2, 3 quadrants. And that lands me down in quad 3. Both negative. So E prime, again, I go back here. I need to switch them around. -24, -5, you're absolutely correct. Then we're going to do counterclockwise 270 degrees. Since it's 270, it's the exact same rules. We're going to switch x and y. And then we will match our signs to the quad. E didn't move. E is still in quad 2. 270 degrees counterclockwise is 3 quadrants this way. Remember, you can look up at the clock above the door if you don't remember which way is clockwise, which way is counterclockwise. Tell me about the x's and the y's in quad 1. Both positive. So going back to my original point E, -524, I need to switch it for E prime, and I need to make them both positive, which would give me what? (24.5). Oh, more rotation. Let's go counterclockwise again, but only 90 degrees this time. My rule stays the same. For 270 and 90, the rule stays the same. We're going to switch x and y. We're going to match the signs to the quad. Point E is in quad 2. I want to go the same direction as the one right before, except I'm only going to go 90 degrees, which would put me down in quad 3 where they're both negative. So what would E prime be? Yep, -24, -5. That is exactly the same as this one up here. Notice my rotations ended me in the same spot. If I go 270 one way, that's the same as 90 the other way. One more rotation. Rotating 180 degrees. about the origin. What's my rule for that?
Switch the signs.
Yes. Just change our signs, yes. Do not switch the X and the Y, but you are going to change both signs. So E prime, instead of being -5, +24, would be +5, -24. And then this is the very last one that we have. It says to map point E to point E prime. What do they want me to do? What kind of a transformation is this? We had reflect, we had rotate. What is this one? Translation, yes. And they're telling me exactly what they want me to do to the X's and to the Y's. Which way is this translating? Right 11. The first number, remember, is your left-right number. And down 9. So I'm going to take my point E, which is -5, 24. To make it E prime, we're going to take our X and add 11 to it. We're going to take our Y and -9 from it. You said 6 what? Not 13, but you're close. 15, yes. We get the point 615. What else would you guys like to see off of the review? Number 2? Absolutely. Use the figure shown to answer the following questions. Which figure or figures in the diagram is a rotation of figure 2? Well, here's figure 2. I would use my tracing paper for this, and I would trace around that object. And then to find which one is a rotation, I would take this shape and I would begin rotating it until I can get it to match one of the ones that's here. Looks like it matches 5. Does it match any others? Also matches 4. So we can rotate this way 180 degrees, or we can rotate this way 180 degrees. So figures 4 and 5. Which figure in the diagram is a translation of figure 5? A translation is a slide or a shift from figure 5 straight down to figure 4. None of the others have the leaf in the correct spot. So none of the others would work here, just figure 4. Which figure or figures in the diagram is a reflection of figure 3? So figure 3, I need a mirror image. Which ones would be mirror images? 4 would be reflected over this line right here. 5, I like that one. The thing about 5, though, is that there's not a single line that I could reflect over. I would have to reflect it and then slide it. So that would be a reflection and a translation put together. 4 and 2. 2 is flipped this way. And I'm just reflecting over a single line there. So figures 2 and 4. What else would you guys like to see? Number 6, absolutely. Using the triangle FGH, graph and label its image after the reflection over y equals -2. So I need to find -2 on the y-axis. There it is, right there. And then we go through the y-axis at -2. So which way does my line need to go then? Has to go horizontally, yes. And now we need to begin moving our points. Let's start with point F. What's the ordered pair for where point F is right now? -5, 0. How far away is that point from the line? 2 hops. I need the mirror image on the opposite side, so 2 hops over here. There's my point F prime. Where is F prime? -5, -4, yes. All right, let's go do point G next. Where is point G currently located? -2, 5. How far away is that point from the line? Seven. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I need to go 7 on the other side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Right here is my G prime. Yep. -2, -9. And where is point H currently located? 1, 2. How far away is that from the line? 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So on the other side, 1, 2, 3, 4. Right here is my H prime. -1, -6. And then I have to make sure to connect my points so that I don't lose credit on that part. We were asked to reflect the triangle, so I need a triangle at the end, not just the vertices of a triangle. Not just the points, yes. What else would you guys like to see? 6:15. What else would you guys like to see? Number 4. Sounds good. Number 4, graph and label the following figure. Here's the points that I need to make sure to graph. We have point C at 4, -3, right here. We have point D at -2, -5, right over here. And we have point E at 1, 0, right here. Take my straight edge and connect those to make my triangle, CDE. And then what are we going to do to this? What does it say we're going to do? What kind of a transformation are we going to do? Left 3 and up 7. We're going to do a translation. You can count on the graph, left 3 and up 7 for all 3 points if you want to. Or you can do the adding and subtracting method. To each of these points, I would subtract 3 and add 7 to the x and the y, minus 3 from the x's, plus 7 to the y's. So what is 4 plus negative 3? 4 plus negative 3. 1. Adding a negative is the same as subtraction. Technically, subtraction doesn't exist. It is all adding a negative. Just like division doesn't exist. It's multiplying by a fraction. What is negative 3 plus 7? 4. That I don't know. 1, 4, right here is C. D prime. Negative 2 minus 3. Negative 5. Negative 5 plus 7. 2. So negative 5, 2 is my point D prime. Oop, I forgot to put the prime on my C. Don't forget to put the primes on. Hey, I fixed it before I turned it in. And then E prime. What is 1 plus negative 3 or 1 minus 3? Negative 2. 0 plus 7? 7. So negative 2, 7. Right here. There's my point E prime. Use my straight edge to connect those together. We have about 7 minutes left, which is enough time for probably 2 more questions, depending on how long they are. Okay. Number 5? Absolutely, we can do number 5. Graph and label the figure. So we start off with a triangle CDE again. C is negative 2, 2, right here. D is negative 1, 4, right here. And E is negative 6, 3, right here. Make sure that you take the time to actually connect those to make a triangle. And then what are we going to do to each of those points?
Staff and students, pardon this interruption. 9th and 12th grade.
We are going to be rotating this clockwise 90 degrees, which means I switch X and Y. And then I need to match the signs to the quadrant that we land in. Are all of my points in the same quadrant? Yes. If my points did not all land in the same quadrant, then I would be doing them one at a time and figuring out exactly where each one is supposed to go. I would do them individually. But these are all in quad 2. 90 degrees clockwise is going to send them into what quadrant? Into the first quadrant. Tell me about the X's and the Y's there. Both positive, positive, positive. So I need to switch the X and the Y. And I need to make them both positive numbers. So C prime would be 2, 2. Switch the numbers, make them both positive. So D prime would be 4, 1. And then for E prime, switch the numbers, make them both positive. That would be 3, 6. So 2, 2. There's my C prime. 4, 1. There's my D prime. And 3, 6. There's my E prime. Grab my straight edge and connect my points. If you are a sophomore or a junior, which I think most of you are, I will see you guys tomorrow after the PSAT testing. I am not going to be doing any class or classwork. If you're in here and you want to ask questions about this, I'm happy to answer questions for you, but I'm not going to be leading class of any type because you've just gotten done with 4 hours of testing and I'm not going to be mean like that. So. If If you guys have any questions, please make sure to send me a message in Canvas. Also, the answer key is already posted.
One line.
5 lines. You do this, or this, or this, or this, or that.
Okay,
Cut it 5 ways. You're welcome. All right, guys, real quick. Shh, please take your seats. I want to show you where the answer key is. On our Canvas page for today, you have to go to Wednesday, 10/23, review for Module 4 test day 2. I've got 2 of the videos uploaded already, periods 1 and 2. You should check those out for any of the problems that we didn't get to on the review, because at this point, every single question on the review has been gone over in a video somewhere. I also just have the answer key posted down here. If you click on this guy right here, it will pull up the answer key with all of my work on it. So, there's my answers. Does anybody have any questions? Cool.